Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Bryan Hullihen and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about going further in recovery, and that's what this channel is all about. It's about going further in recovery. Many people may wonder who I am, where I come from, and what I'm all about, and that's what this introduction is. It's an opportunity for me to just explain a little bit about my life and my past. And many of you may wonder, well, what qualifies me to have this channel or talk to you about recovery or going further in personal development as it relates to recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction? Well, quite simply, it's my past. I am an expert in falling down and picking myself back up. I'm one of those hard-headed alcoholics that had to learn everything the hard way. I've been told my whole life that I was probably an alcoholic and that I should probably try certain things, and I didn't want to listen. And I'd like to say that I probably made every single mistake out there, and I'm still alive and breathing with a heartbeat, here to tell you about it. I've been to prison, to jail, to hospital, and all that kind of stuff. And although that's not very flattering, it does qualify me. It does qualify me to talk about recovery and addiction and all of the different nuances that go into this thing. I also have an applied science degree in chemical dependency, as well as a level 1 and a level 2 certificate in substance use disorders. And I am also a nationally certified peer recovery support specialist. I do work with other alcoholics and drug addicts for a living. It's what I do, it's my passion. But I have married certain techniques that I've learned for standard personal development for people that are not in recovery or not alcoholic, that really only have their personal development and success in achieving their goals to think about. I've taken those concepts and I've married them to people that are in recovery, because for people in recovery has to be the number one thing. It has to be the number one thing, or else all else goes away. And that's what happened to me. I used to own an aftercare program as well as a treatment center for gambling addiction. And I got sick and I was in the middle of a relapse and I didn't want to tell anybody about it. I was taking Xanax and Oxycontin and got to the point where I was ordering my drugs off the internet because I couldn't get the doctors to prescribe me anymore. Started using just various different narcotics, and I did not share that stuff with anybody because I was afraid that I was going to lose everything that I worked so hard for. Well, the irony in that is that to keep those things, the very thing that I needed to do was get honest. I needed to open up and talk to people about what I was going through so that way I could receive the help. But staying inside of my own crap, I ended up losing all those things I thought I was trying to protect anyways. I lost my fiance, I lost both of my businesses, and I even lost my freedom. I got into a fight in a drunken blackout with a police officer where I was lucky to get an 8.5-year sentence. The minimum mandatory sentence for something like that in the state of Arizona is a 10.5-year sentence flat time, which means that you don't get any good time credits or anything like that. So I was lucky to get an 8.5-year sentence where I only had to serve 7 years of that 8.5. And in those 7 years, I knew that I was done. I knew it in my heart, and luckily I had the skills and the abilities to apply the things that I learned in the past to my life while I was in prison and make some lasting change. I met a lot of very interesting people while I was in there. I accomplished a great deal while I was in there, and I came out a different person. That experience allowed me to just recognize where a lot of my, if not all of my issues relating to alcoholism were coming from. I was able to recognize that the majority of my issues were stemming from my ego and how much I confused my ego for real self. And in realizing that, which was a definite process over those 7 years, I could see just the birthplace, the etiology of all of my issues, every single one. And I say all that just to simply say that that's where the idea for me to take these personal development techniques and marry them to people that are in recovery. Because again, like I said, recovery has to be number one. And as I just shared with you, when I did not keep recovery the number one thing, I put business before my recovery, I lost all that stuff anyways. So that's really what this is all about. That's what this channel is all about. I'll be discussing different things that I have taken part in over the years. I'll be talking about my time in prison. I'll be talking about some things that I applied in my life. I'll be talking a little bit about some of my companies that I now own that do deal with helping people go further in their personal development and recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction. We are not an inpatient treatment center. We are an aftercare program, and the name of that business is Paramount Recovery Services, which is in fact my primary business. That's what I really enjoy. And that's where I take a lot of these techniques and a lot of these skills and apply them for other people as a business and for my life's work. But I'm bringing a lot of that stuff to you on this channel for free. As time goes on, I will also be interviewing other people who have made it their mission in life to go further in their spiritual development. People who have gotten sober from alcohol, who have recovered from alcoholism and drug addiction and wanted more from life, just knew that there was more to this recovery thing than just simply being sober. There's so much more. And for those of us that have ended up under the jail or in these hospitals or institutions or detoxes and all those other things, for those of us that know what it's like to only be able to think about getting high or drunk or, you know, all the behaviors that go into that stuff, to just constantly ruminate and not feel okay until we get our drug of choice or just any kind of escape from the madness that was going on between our ears. For those of us that know what that's like, life is a sweet thing. Life is just a sweet thing. And now I don't know what it's like to not have experienced those things, because it's been a long time since I've lived a life where it was devoid of any kind of trauma or craziness. I mean, years and years, like several decades ago at this point. So I only know my experience and the experience of thousands of other alcoholics and drug addicts who all tell me that they have this appreciation for life that they feel is unparalleled to people who haven't suffered. And I would have to agree with that, simply because after going to prison and coming out after several years of prison, I find it very easy to be grateful. I find there's just so many things to have gratitude for that it's just amazing. So that's the level of content that I'm going to be bringing to you guys here on this channel. If you are in recovery, early recovery, extended recovery, we're going to be talking about going further in your spiritual development. We're going to be talking about techniques to prevent from becoming complacent or stagnant. We are always going to be considering what's next. We are always going to be considering the importance of stopping to take a look around and enjoy what we have, to really feel the experience of life. These are some of the things that we're going to be discussing on this channel. And I really look forward to getting to know you guys. I really look forward to allowing you the opportunity to get to know me. And I hope that you find this channel as rewarding as I find making it. So remember to always be of loving service in everything that you do. Before we start each task, before I start each task in my life, and anything that I do, I start that task with a level of gratitude. I do a quick gratitude check-in for the things that I do have relating to that task, relating to my life, and then I consider loving service. So in recovery, I am thinking about most of the time, how can I pack into the stream of life? Whereas before, in active addiction and alcoholism, I really only considered what was I going to get from the transaction. And so that's why I think about everything that I'm about to do. How is this me being of loving service to others? And it's not that difficult to see. Like when I go to the gym, before I read a book, before I do any of these other things, it's all a way for me to maximize my existence, to maximize my level of understanding, so I can be of maximum usefulness to you. So if you have any kind of questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find me at bryanhullihen.blogspot.com. You can also find me at Bryan Hullihen at facebook.com, where you'll receive all of my contact information there. Feel free to reach out. My contact information does come straight to me, and I would be happy to take your call. So remember to always be of loving service and start each task with a level of gratitude. Thank you.